Welcome to our weekly live session in South Africa. That starts every Wednesday immediately, exactly at 11 a.m. GMT. And today we'll be talking about the NDVI animations as a way to communicate the results of civil analysis flowing from natural to crop vegetation. As you all know, if I start by small background, you know that in South Africa, we are there to provide routing data sets derived from fully available state images, especially the Landsat and Sentinel, and we do processes and host them online so that users could access them immediately for several uses, being for commercial purposes that for the private sector, being for research for the academia, being for government institutions, or being for NGOs. Our data sets are freely accessible. And we started by agriculture and food security, water resources and its risks, land degradation, urbanization, coastal erosions, and many others as per the users and partners' requests. So there are several ways to access our data sets, especially the maps, which is a very user-friendly interface through which you can do some exploratory analysis, visualizations, and also share the results. The most important one is our sandbox, through which you can do several analysis. Some pre-developed notebooks based on Python coding are already available there. Then you could either specify your location and run, elect the codes and get your results, or you can even improve depending upon your familiarity with the Python coding. Some users of JS classic softwares like ArcGIS, and QGIS could still use the same interface to download datasets and integrate them in their daily job. And of course, we know that there's a need for capacity building. That's where our team had developed an online user course through which you could go through, understand all steps for data accessibility, analysis, exporting them, and some applications on water resources, land degradation, urbanization, and so on. As I was saying that our aim is to support all the sectors of the economy, from agriculture, water, food security, urbanization, and natural resource management. And by the way, happy World Biodiversity Day. And that's why a lot of algorithms were already developed, and they are still freely accessible by our users and grouped by themes. We have a beginner's guide that should show us how to use Python coding for basics and analysis to complex image analysis. And have a data set, how our data were processed, all codes are available. Frequent used codes, those are codes that we think everyone should need to do his daily analysis. Node examples, all those are examples that could help us to analyze or to view several phenomena on the globe, especially crop monitoring, water monitoring, and so on. Supplementary data, how do you access data from other sources or from other partners? Tools, which are the main tools that we are using to analyze, to develop, and so on. And use cases that we could get codes that were developed by others as use cases, and could see if either you could duplicate this at your study area or even improve depending upon your use case. But today we'll be talking about generating NDVI animations. Why doing this? This is a very important tool to monitor agricultural activity across the African continent, and of course for forecasting uh, and early warning of food security challenges in the continent. Today we see how we can generate animations to visualize the NDVI across space uh, through time, and also assess related anomalies. And we can use the same approach to combine the trend in NDVI as a crop health proxy, and also the rainfall, which has a big influence on the crops NDVI content. And when we do animations, we are combining two dimensions. We are combining space and time, and we can combine both the mean values and data anomalies to understand the spatial trend of the vegetation or the crop trends. And this is a way to complement uh, uh, the spatial images interpretability, and of course, trying to combine what to observe and observation data sets. What are the main steps? Of course, you should understand the area of interest, because along with the latitude, the longitude, and the buffer area, or having the polygon that shows the limit, the boundaries of a study area. But also, we should be able to load South Africa mini DVI and anomalies. And we should also try to mask the croplands on the continent, because this project was developed for crops. And also we generate animations, and you can combine the generated animations with NDVI. And of course, this is very impactful. It is showing the combining vegetation health through NDVI is a robust proxy, and related anomalies and related rainfall is important climatic parameter. Then you have a good comparison. This is an example, a moment. This. Yes, okay, thank you. If you go to NDVI animations, the way it looks and the workflow or stages I've been discussing previously, and it's an example of one cropland in Madagascar. And you could see that the animation shows the mean NDVI in space and time, and let the anomalies of the cropland. You could see this is the animations showing a monthly NDVI in our study area. This is how the NDVI is behaving, with the peak sometimes in April, and also a kind of low value sometimes in September. And also you could understand the related anomalies. If the anomalies are higher, then you could say that the performance of our crops is not promising. And of course, we have been working on croplands, because this was designed for our crop areas. And also we can combine, as I was saying, the animations of NDVI and also the monthly rainfall. And why this is very important? These animations help us to inspect how the crops have been behaving under changing climatic conditions, especially the increase and decrease of rainfall in our study area. And we are trying to load the chief's climatic data sets, rainfall data sets, and this we could say this kind of analysis can assist in assessing the crop production in a given year, and also this could be a good support tool for early warning and forecast of crop production and food security on the continent. We have a lot of animations. There are some via the Africa platforms. We can do some animations on rainfall. This is an example of steps. Of course, selecting the area of interest can road the surface frequency, draw the boundaries of a study area, and road the rainfall data set. You should also resample the time series and also define axis and of course run animations. This is an example of Victoria Falls in Uganda. You could see the way the rainfall have been behaving from January 2022 until almost December the same year. You could see an increase in rainfall from January to April, approximately April, becomes a little bit stable, and then it starts increasing around November to January of the same year. And as you can see, in our notebooks, we can generate animations from true color images, and you could see and combine them with a cumulative graph that shows the evolution of rainfall in a given area. This was the example of Victoria Falls in Uganda. And then this should be a kind of decision support tool in terms of climate interventions. And we have also some notebooks that could combine true color images, how the land cover or have been changing, and also with rainfall information, as you can see on the right, upright, over years, but you also try to understand in which years rainfall was created by a huge anomaly, like a year 873 to 83, and the way it was created by a good or desired trend in your study area. Others are freely done using the pivot code within the Africa sandbox. So there are a lot to do. For example, to understand the behavior of crops, the Africa developed what we call the Africa's monthly NDVI and data anomalies, and this provides an estimate of vegetation condition for each calendar month, as well as a comparison of this against the long-term based conditions. And this means that for the month over the period of 1984 to 2000, and I'll share the links to the NDVI methodology. And of course, if we try to inspect the NDVI and the anomalies, this we should load them through our data cube, and secondly, use the DC function to load them on the defined area, visualize the mean NDVI and the anomalies, plot phenology curves or the crop plants, and also extract the mean NDVI anomalies for the correct month and the region. And of course, you could compare the conditions. This is an example of Western Cape. This is a true color image of the area. Then now we can plot the NDVI. If you can see if you see it, for example, the month from July, August, September 2020 was characterized by a high NDVI uh, uh, content, and this should be a kind of the plant were growing. Whereas in some other months, like January, February, March, and so on, the plant, it was almost a harvest season. And we can plot the curve for the NDVI, kind of phenology curve, and show that from, as I was saying, from almost June towards this October, the area is characterized by a high NDVI, means that the NDVI content is attending the optimum before the plant start maturing. And we could also try to understand the NDVI anomaly, and of course, same steps of loading and also producing graphs. And you can produce NDVI means and related anomalies, and the anomaly, and this should be able to assess not only the greenness of the area, but the contrast between what to observe and the expected mean NDVI in the city area. And you can also plot some NDVI, compare vegetation conditions, but just trying to compare them with the standard anomalies. It's an example of a field in Uganda. Then you could say this month, for example, around 2001 from 2020, could see the NDVI was very good. But if you go to 2000, for example, 2017, there will be a little bit of challenge. And this should vary from one month to another. And this is a way of assessing the trend in crops in the past time. Let's try to inform some interventions or inspire some decision making related to the crop health. And of course, we have the NDVI climatology. That one was about especially the anomalies. And if we go to the NDVI climatology, this should help us to understand the long-term conditions of vegetation using Landsat images, 30-meter resolution, and of course, understand the standard deviation of that NDVI, and all the steps are almost the same, but this should help to understand the long-term plant phenology. This is we plot the NDVI climatology, and for the same region in the Western Cape, South Africa, and you could see the same months are green compared to the first trimester of the year. This was another example for 2002, and also almost the same result as the one for 2020 that I showed previously. And then you could understand the standard deviation, and also you could see some seasons are characterized by high contrast compared to another, and this should also inform decision making in the area of crops and food security. And of course, we can also try to understand the average phenology curve in the region, and you could see using the climatology, we are getting more or less the same trend as for the previous one using the anomalies. And we could also try to understand statistics behind that phenology over time. from the start of the season, try to understand both the NDVI and related standard deviation, and also at the beginning of the season when the NDVI is at the optimum, and also at the end of the season, and try to understand amplitude and other related statistical measurements for the NDVI in our region or in our area of interest. And on this, I can try to take you through our notebooks. Of course, you remember through our sandbox, we can do a lot of things. There is a single notebook called animated time series, generating animated time series using our XR animation function. And this could be found found in our frequent used code of our sandbox. And why do I start with this one? This shows several ways of doing animations. You start by importing the cloud-free time series, plotting datasets in 3 bands, plot data as a 3 band or as a single band, export results as GIF, which is easy to share, but with a low resolution, or using MP4 file, which is good for social media posting, especially Twitter and so on. And also, you could also try to delineate the area of study, and of course, process your image. This is, for example, here, we can specify our area of study and load our dataset, specifying the resolution. Here we have displayed the Sentinel-2 images. And for our area of study, we had 13 images with our cloud cover conditions. To me, that the cloud cover shouldn't go, was less than 5%. And we can plot true color images, but you can also do some animations of 3 bands RGB. The codes are there. You could see how it behaves. We can also decide to use a single band, trying to give more importance to one phenomenon compared to others. And also we can go and create some indices, like modify difference water index, and try to enhance areas covered by water. The same way, we can also try to play with the colors until you get exact evolution of areas covered with the water only. And also, we can do much more, date polygon and so on, and then export the results. So this generic notebook could help the team to generate whatever animations you want. What you need to specify the type of data sets or proxy we'll be using. The second notebook, the one which is more specific, generating NDVI animations. I've talked to all stages, and this notebook is available under the layout examples of our sandbox. And this notebook defines how to animate NDVIs. And of course, we connect to our data cube as usual. A function called NDVI animation was developed by the applications team. And we have to specify our area of study, but also our area of interest. and this is somewhere in the field in Madagascar. Then what we do, we can define our start time and our end time, load our data sets. Then the protocol is called NDVI anomaly, and then we are working on croplands. That's why I have to mask the cropped areas, and then after masking, what you do, the most important, we can have a nice animation showing both the evolution of NDVI in each field, but also combining the curve on the mean NDVI and the curve on the graph on NDVI anomalies, and trying to put three information in one. And I think this symbol in animation could give just an insight to decision makers. Imagine if we could spot real tables behind showing the statistics, then that should be a robust tool. But why does NDVI increase or decrease? I think this is due to the climate conditions, and you can bring in rainfall, and combining this with the rainfall, I'm jumping the steps for the sake of time. We could see how the NDVI is evolving or in the field, but also how the rainfall is behaving. You could see that a maximum rainfall corresponds to high NDVI, while we'll have a lot of a huge rainfall anomaly. Like November, January, the NDVI is increasing or is being equally affected. This notebook is also available via our sandbox, and also we can go to the animation using the rainfall. A notebook was developed with all steps, the introduction, how this could inform decision support, especially the behavior of rainfall on the crops and so on. And if we can do this, our area of study, Victoria 4, that's Uganda, and then we can load our data set on rainfall chips data sets, and then we can see the behavior of rainfall as I was showing in the presentation. We can define and run some animations behind, trying to combine the true color images evolution on the field with the NDVI curve to show how climatic conditions could affect the behavior of land cover in a given area. And then lastly, we can come with a graph combining the true color images, the time series, and also the annual rainfall and the rated rainfall anomaly. This should inform the long-term land cover management under changing climatic conditions. And in a few words, that's all for today. But we are sure that the team, some of the team who were not able to use the sandbox before might think this is very complicated, but it's not at all. And we have prepared an online course through which you could go and understand the steps for data processing, analysis, and some little applications that you call Intro to the Sandbox. And we have some special courses, one on water resources, another on urbanization, agriculture and food security, and also we have another on coastal erosions and more to come. You get certificates at the end, but also the most important thing that you earn more skills. And of course, our website is operational, and you have this, you could have an operational help desk, and also every Wednesday we are meeting the same time to discuss some new products, and also could show up and present your success stories or your findings using the Africa platforms. Today, we are talking about NDVI animations in English, and next week that it should be in French, and also trying to alternate between French and English for inclusivity purpose. This was the plan for today. Thank you for your